Hi, I'm Rebecca Cohen. I'm the founder and creator of the healing system, The Path to Heal. And I have decided to do a few Facebook Live videos about all of the books that I've written. I've written about 20 books, and about 15 or so of them are available for the general public on Amazon. And each book includes a wealth of beautiful healing information, all many of them regarding a particular healing tool. And I've decided to start the series of lives looking at my books that are my medicine books. I have four of them. The first one that I'm going to talk about today is Crystal Medicine. And then I have Plant Medicine, Food Love Medicine, and Sound Medicine. And each one of these books focuses on the healing tool in the title, such as crystals, and tells you why I created this book, because in most of these cases, there's a lot of information already out there about these healing tools, why my book is different, and how you can use it to enhance your life and enhance your wellness journey, enhance your ability to connect with self-discovery and have a lovely high vibrational tool that helps raise your vibration so it is easier to create the life that you want. So we humans, we live in this dense vibration. We're always worried about something. We are always fearing something. In the creation of the Path to Heal, I've discovered that in truth, we can live in a very high vibration, a vibration of abundance. And the way that we get there is through self-love. But it is so hard to love self when we've been criticized and torn down and struggle with all the things that we have to struggle with. These tools have the natural ability to be loving. They don't have any of the human ego, human consciousness dragging them down. And that's why they're higher vibration. But these tools also have been placed on this earth to connect with human consciousness. And so their very presence in our energy raises our vibration to that which is closer to the tool. So when we talk about that, crystals are found all over the earth. There are, and I also talk about plant medicine. So plant is found all over the earth, but these are not structures that have been dragged down by the human consciousness and human fears. So that is why they help us heal. And so I am a channel. A lot of this information, I get very quiet and I receive. And so when I bring in the information, so the first book I'm going to talk about is Crystal Medicine for the New Age. And this book is available on Amazon. And I'm talking about this book because a lot of people love crystals because they're pretty, and you can go to the crystal store and you just can buy something that feels good and it feels nice. But then there's a bunch of books out there that talk about what crystals can do for you. And there's nothing wrong with all of those books. They relate to many people and a lot of people like them. But what I've discovered, because I am a channel, is that a lot of the information is not necessarily the information that's needed about the crystal to help us understand how to bring ourselves into a more loving vibration and how to help us heal ourselves and the planet. So this book was channeled into me specifically to help me help everybody pick the right crystal for themselves. So again, it's Crystal Medicine. So I am going to read to you the first paragraph of the book. And the first paragraph just tells you why, or the first two paragraphs. So Crystal Medicine uses the spectacular vibration of crystal energy to transmute unhealthy crystallized body and mind formation to the body's natural state of perfect health and unconditional love. This book facilitates using the energy of crystals to help us choose a life that is fully supportive of ourselves, our loved ones, and humanity. I questioned why I needed to write this book. There is so much information out there on crystals, but many of the sources say the same thing and come from folklore, which isn't a bad thing, but perhaps not valid in today's energy. To begin, I consulted sources and discovered through muscle testing that there were other important properties that were not known in the common discussion around crystals. So then I also continued to write about these crystals and how they could help us heal. And then when I would have clients in and I would muscle test as I do, and you can see what that means in other videos of mine, I would muscle test to see which crystal I needed to bring the client to. And then when I read the page that I had written a year ago when I wrote this book about this crystal to the client, it was so validating, because each time the client would say, wow, I really need the crystal for all those reasons. So the way this book is organized is mostly by crystal type. And so for the major crystal types, the book is only 100 pages long, so I haven't gone into the really minor crystals that are hard to get. For the most part, these are the crystals that are easily accessed, and also all the ones that I use in the Path to Heal. So, for example, I am bringing you to the page that says Labradorite, and I will show you what a beautiful Labradorite crystal looks like. And the beauty, Labradorite is just so fun to look at because it has so many layers. And when you hold it up to the sun or to light, you can see all the different structures that are inside this crystal. So I opened to the page Labradorite randomly, but everybody who's listening to this Facebook Live will probably have some connection to Labradorite. That's the way the world works. It's a lot more synchronistic than we think. So the attributes of Labradorite are, it's the stone of reconnection. So this will help you reconnect to anything that you feel disconnected to and you would like to reconnect with. So it promotes past life healing, clearing the guilty conscious, ascension, meaning ascending above your struggle to a plane of existence that's a lot lighter, healing all of our layers at once, and healing divided energy. And given the political climate right now, I think connecting to each other and healing divided energy is a really beautiful thing. So it also helps to heal concussions. And as I can say, like, this information is channeled into me, so I don't always understand why it works. But I can say that, as I said before, that when I do muscle test and go to a particular page in this book, I do find that they'll say, oh yeah, well, I just had a concussion and I'm also having this other problem that's listed on the page. So it becomes very validating. It also helps balance the shoulds, which I actually find are very related to concussions. The more we live in the shoulds, the more concussions we have. I don't feel well, general malaise, love is too hard, and family divides. So each one of these on the bottom has a spiritual opening. And this spiritual opening says, hold Labradorite on your throat chakra, your chakra of expression, and state, I act from my heart always. As I do, I recognize that acting from love leads to togetherness and contentment. So if each one of us gets closer and closer to acting from love, it means we're less likely to act from the shoulds, which is something that this stone also helps heal. And the shoulds represent, I should do this, not I'd love to do this, I should do this. And our hearts are all connected. So if we can act from the shoulds rather than if we can act from love rather than the shoulds, it's easier for us all to connect. So as I'm saying this, that's just one page in this book and one stone. So now I'm going to randomly open to another page and another stone. And the page I opened to is topaz. And I think I have a topaz with me right now. Yes, this is not the topaz that you're used to seeing. This is it's not as clear, so it's not very expensive, this topaz. But in this case, it doesn't matter if it's expensive or not. As long as it has the energy of topaz, we're good. So this stone, topaz, is the good karma stone, and it promotes faith that we can manifest all good things, So sweet disposition, awareness of our actions and karmic effects, cosmic awareness, unleashed creativity, and love of our psychic abilities. And it heals heartbreak, and it balances depression, stage fright, coldness, the thin line between love and hate, and immaturity. So I just listed it. I opened it, so clearly somebody who's going to watch this is going to relate to this one. And this one, the spiritual opening says to hold topaz on your right shoulder and state, I am always for me, which means I am always for you because we are one. So the theme is the same for both the labradorite and the topaz. And the concept is that our hearts are always aligned. And so when we follow our heart, it's also good for the other person. It may cause disruption, but it's also good for the other person because we are always aligned. So topaz can come in many colors: green, blue, pink, reddish, white, yellow, and transparent. Any topaz, any form, any size will work if you have this issue. So you could just use this book and either randomly flip to a stone or look up a stone that you already have. And I would love your feedback if you do this, if you do buy this book and you say, okay, wow, I randomly flipped to this, or I already have this, and it was accurate, it was relevant, and because that's the kind of feedback I get. And it helps because when you're channeling something in, I'd like to say that you always absolutely know for sure that what you're doing makes absolute sense. And my guide is if it's coming in and it feels like love, then it's good. And then if people, like my clients, relate to it, then I get that validation, and I get that experience all the time. So the other thing that I want to talk about that people ask me all the time about crystals is, do we have to clear the crystals by putting them out into the moonlight? If you do those rituals, they're beautiful. But I get there's a very, very simple way to clear crystals once and for all. And you take a kyanite, and kyanite cuts cords. And you take it and you spiral down and up 3 times. And that clears the energy of the crystal. So if any human ego or ugliness or unhappiness has settled into the crystal doesn't want to actually hold on to that energy. And so if you do this technique of spiraling in, up and down 3 times, it will release the negative energy, and you never have to charge it again, because once you do this technique, the cords are cut to any of human negativity. And if you want to do all your crystals at once, you can either put them in a pile or imagine all the crystals, and then you can just imagine all of your crystals and clear them at once. And then there are special combinations that I have in this book. And I'm wearing an angelite and sodalite bracelet. And angelite and sodalite together, and this is something that I've discovered or channeled in while I was writing this book, is that angelite and sodalite together turn our hands into divine healing hands. Put angelite in one hand and sodalite in the other, or wear a necklace like this, which is fine. And place hands anywhere on the body of a person to be healed for 5 minutes or until you feel a shift. Expect miracles for people who are ready to enter into a state of unconditional love. So the energy of these 2 crystals together bring us to a state of unconditional love. So that's one special crystal that has special healing properties that you won't find written about anywhere else, the combinations that I'm going to talk about. So rose quartz, which is a very common crystal, a lot of you already have it, is the crystal of angelic intervention, especially in the case of rage. Rage occurs when you're feeling unprotected. Just by having rose quartz in your presence, rage will evaporate as you will feel completely protected by the angels. When feeling totally protected, rage transmutes to love. So even if you're not feeling a lot of rage, but you know that someone else in your house is feeling a lot of rage, just scatter. Go pick up a lot of $1 bits of rose quartz and put them all over the house. So in that same vein, iolite, let me show you a piece of iolite. I have an iolite heart here somewhere. So here's an Iolite heart. Iolite helps families act from the heart rather than acting from fear and conditional love. Iolite helps us promote joyful adventure for all. So you throw this around your house if people are not in your family, are not acting from the heart and not enjoying the adventure of life. And this will help raise the vibration of the family just by having it there. There are a few others that I would like to really talk about, and I have a whole 5-page section in this book about this stone. It's a K2 stone, and K2 stones are found from the K2 mountains in Pakistan. It's also called K2 jasper. And I have discovered through my work with this stone is that it helps us release meanness and replace it with kindness, generosity, and forgiveness. So this stone is really, really good when you want to release abusive patterns. In this book, if you look up K2 Jasper in this book, it has pages and pages on the different, on kind of like the definition of abusive patterns, why it happens, and recognizing them as abuse, whether you're the recipient of abusive patterns or the deliverer of abusive patterns. It will help either. And it's a really, really interesting discussion about abuse in this book and the definition of it and why it occurs. So how we create these abusive patterns. It's not written about in the same way that any other book that I've ever seen about abuse is written about, but most people who come to me and I discover that I need to help them by suggesting that they use a K2 stone. It's really cool. It's got all these blue dots in it. I've got to hold it with my right hand. It has all these blue dots in it, so it's kind of a cool looking stone too. They really, really, really can relate when I open up the discussion that's completely documented in this book about abuse and releasing abuse through this stone. So I have other books that I have written that extensively use crystals, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about them today, but I will share them. We've got this Divine Grids, a celebration of crystal healing. There's 2 versions of it. This one is $30, but there's also, I think, a $15 version of it. The $15 version on Amazon has less theory, but the same beautiful healing grids. Oops. And then I also have a book called Soul Crystal Formations as well. So thank you for joining me, and I'll be reviewing and talking about all of my books in the next couple of weeks.